Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rewilded Wellness Podcast. This is your host, Lydia Joy. It has been a little while since I have recorded for you. I didn't actually plan to go quiet on the podcast. I just found myself needing to. My system was really asking for a slowdown, a recalibration, and so just some space to integrate everything that I've been navigating in my own life and in my work. So I decided to pause the astrological seasonal episodes, not because I don't love that work, I do, but because the people landing in my world right now aren't in that stage yet. They're in the phase before that, the phase where the body still doesn't feel safe enough to take in all the layered seasonal and cosmic nuance. So instead of pushing content for the sake of consistency, I honored the truth of where I was and where my community is. And that pause ended up giving me clarity. And during this quiet season, I always find this time of year very much quiet in a way. I really started seeing a pattern, not just in my clients, but in myself. That whole nervous system phase after a crisis. There's actually several phases. The different cell danger response phases, but the one in particular that looks like, why am I still not okay? Even though, the acute threat has passed, the more alarm phase, chronic fight or flight phase has passed. And so it really started to hit me, the quiet, slow moments that I'd been honoring in my own life and in my business weren't just pauses, they were signals. They were my system and the systems of the people I work with telling us something important about what comes next. Because here's the truth. Being out of crisis doesn't mean you're fully okay. Relief can feel like a mirage when your body is still repairing, and still protecting, and still recalibrating. And that's what I've been noticing again and again, this phase that hardly anyone talks about or wants to be honest about, the slow rebuild phase. I always joked in the past that it was the real build back better. But seriously, it is slow. And in this phase, your system is functional. Yeah. You can eat, you can move, you can work, you can care for others, you can go about your life. But there's this quiet, hum under the surface, this tension, fatigue, micro flares that are just saying, I'm not fully online yet. And if you don't recognize this for what it is, it's really easy to misinterpret it and consider yourself flawed or like you're failing or something. Or even try to identify with some kind of diagnostic label, if you will. And that's why today I want to give you a little window into what's happening biologically and in your nervous system during this phase. I'm not here to give you like a practitioner map or anything like that. I don't want to overwhelm you with like every lab marker, every pattern. Instead, I'm just going to try to show you and speak the language of your own body so you can see it in yourself and hopefully stop blaming yourself for being slow. And it's not very helpful when we do that to ourselves or other people do it to us, right? Um, because when you understand the biology behind this, like seemingly limbo state, like why your energy dips and why your digestion is inconsistent and why your nervous system is so cautious and, the list could go on, you find yourself stopping to like fight this process and let yourself accept it and start working with it. And that is the key because that's where the real sustainable healing begins. So I want to dig a little deeper into what's really happening in this in-between phase. I'm going to call it the slow rebuild phase. There's actually some technical terms for it depending on what body of work you're studying. But really what your body is trying to do is a couple big things at once: repair and protect. So you can think of it like trying to rebuild a house while the smoke alarm is still going off. Um, like your cells are working, but they're really cautious. Your nervous system is awake to danger, even if the immediate threat is gone. And here's what it can look like in everyday life, right? You have some energy, but it's inconsistent. Some days you might feel almost normal, other days you crash. Your digestion, good grief, you never know, right? It could be slow, you could be bloated, it could be just very unpredictable. You never know what meals are going to trigger some type of temporary discomfort or even like noticeable anxiety in your gut. You notice micro flares, I'll get into that later, which are these just small spikes of symptoms that make you wonder if like you regressed or you're regressing or, oh my gosh, why is this happening? They're not regressions. They're your body just checking. Is it safe to move forward yet? And your nervous system can be in this like blended state, right? Part sympathetic urgency, part dorsal freeze. You can function, but you're not fully free or grounded or charged. And so, biologically, what's happening is that your metabolism is very cautious because your cells don't have full energy reserves. This makes the repair slower. And it's not laziness, it's very strategic of your body. And then your gut and microbiome are trying to recalibrate. Like they're always working behind the scenes and we don't even know it. And you may have low diversity in your gut, low good species, good guys. Right? The bacteria that help with the short chain fatty acid production, which is really important for a lot of things and it helps fuel your brain. And that may be limited because diversity is low. So the microbes can take time to wake back up slowly, just checking that the environment is safe. And then your hormonal system is always going to be adjusting, right? Like in this phase, cortisol, the thyroid, the adrenals, they might be quiet or inconsistent. And it's because your body is prioritizing survival over growth still. And then the nervous system's still trying to learn new rhythms, right? Like ventral vagal tone, the relaxed social restorative state is only just starting to come online. You get like little tastes of it. You might notice tension or tightness in the diaphragm or pelvic floor or in your hips or your psoas or even some emotional reactivity. And a lot of people don't understand this. They don't know what's going on. Why am I so tight? Why am I so reactive? But the important piece here is that this is actually normal in this phase. It's actually expected. And it really does not mean you're failing. I promise. It doesn't mean you are some kind of, I don't know, something's inherently wrong with you mentally, spiritual, emotionally, right? Like it's just literally your body is simply in a conservation repair mode. Okay, so let's try. I like stories. I like to try to paint pictures. How about we explain it like this? Imagine your body is like a city recovering after a storm. Power is slowly coming back online. Streets are being cleared. Surfaces are being restored. Some areas are fully lit. Some are still dark. Traffic moves, but intermittently, right? That's exactly what your body feels like in this phase. Functional again as compared to what it was, but cautious, slow, and a little unpredictable. Okay, so here's the beautiful part though. Even though this feels messy, this phase is when the real repair is starting to slowly happen. Your cells are doing the best they can to rebuild, right? Like your gut is remapping the microbial communities. Your nervous system's learning it can be safe again. And, every little micro flare, every low energy day, every digestive wobble, it isn't a setback. It isn't, we always look at it as it's a bad thing. these microflares, these symptoms, but they're signals, okay? From here on out, we look at this stuff as a signal, a communication. Your system is checking itself. It's recalibrating. It's learning how to operate in a world that now feels safer than it did before. And here's what I want you to understand. This isn't a straight line. People rarely move linearly from crisis to full health. Okay? This is normal. Most of my clients, and myself included, oscillate. Some days feel like progress, some days feel like regression, and that's the spiral I keep talking about. Your body revisits patterns. Sometimes when it has more energy than it had before, it decides, oh, hey, guess what? We have a little cleanup work to do today. Let's do that. And it works through unresolved loops. Right? And you never know what it's going to decide to do. And it just integrates that repair at its own pace. So if you feel like you're ping-ponging between better and not better, or between bursts of energy and crashes, that's just biology. It's not you failing. That's your body saying, I'm learning safety and I need to do it carefully. So to recap and in short, this slow rebuild phase, it is functional. I can tell you myself, I made progress in so many ways during my own slow rebuild phase. It just wasn't the whole thing all at once as fast as I wanted, because this phase is functional, but it's cautious and it's also very protective. And energy and repair are happening, but in a very conservative, step-by-step way. Like I said, strategic. Your body is so smart. And so the microflares are normal. They're just signs of progress. They're not setbacks. Okay? Your nervous system's learning, your gut's recalibrating, your metabolism is pacing itself. Okay, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to say some things, some different things, and repeat myself as well, because this is important to understand. I want you just to see the phase for what it is. This is not the phase where, um, you know, the things you do are like, okay, this is not the phase where you want to do like intense protocols, constant hacks, intense detoxes. It's about stability, pacing, and safety. Those are the most powerful tools that you have. Not going into some clinical, intense, let's deal with every root cause we can find and think of until we're exhausted, okay? Even though all that stuff is behind the scenes likely, you don't have to fix them all in some intense way to make progress. In fact, if you do that, you'll probably burn yourself out and teach your nervous system to be more defensive, okay? So the thing we have to understand is our body is always telling us exactly what it needs. I know, we have to learn. This is hard. We have to learn how to follow the guidance. We have to understand what our body's trying to say. This is when the deeper repair can actually happen, if we understand our body is always on the pace that it's on for a reason. And this is why, we go slow and we, think of sustainability. Okay, so now that hopefully you're hearing me on the slow rebuild phase, I want to talk about some of the ways it shows up. I'm not going to turn this into a whole like lecture, technicality, whatever. I just want you to hear these patterns in more human language so you can recognize them. Like kind of thinking of it like reading the weather of your body, if you will, not the exact specifics or the exact temperature or whatever, but whether it's stormy, calm, or in between, right? And that's what I look at in my body of work with clients, right? Like with the HTMA, the hair tissue mineral analysis, the gut patterns, what's showing up in my clients' biome affects stool results to see what's going on in their microbiome, right? So even if you don't have those in front of you, you will be able to find yourselves in what I'm about to say, okay? So when we talk about metabolism, or even the oxidation rate and the HTMA patterns, there's a couple key things. Like if your body feels slow, heavy, or like energy is stuck, that's your metabolism conserving energy. And in the HTMA, we call this slow oxidation, right? And the translation really is just that your cells are still in protection mode. They're choosing repair over full action, right? You might notice fatigue, brain fog, hesitation to move, right? It's not you being lazy, even though you probably feel that way. It's your biology. And if your energy swings between bursts of alertness and crashes, right? Like that's more of a mixed pattern. Your body's trying to do repair and defense at the same time. You feel functional one moment, overwhelmed the next. Like that's the in-between nervous system speaking, that sympathetic urgency meeting dorsal conservation. And then another one that's really a big one is if you have a hair test, low tissue potassium, that is your cellular charge too low. And your body can't fully fire on all cylinders yet. And what you're feeling is your system choosing the conservation over collapse. So it's protective. Even though it doesn't feel good, I know it's protecting you against other things that are going on deep, deep, deep in your system that have been there probably for a very long time. And then if we talk about the gut and the biome patterns, there's so much I can see in there. And a lot of people are saying things about their digestion, right? Like it just feels off or it feels slow or inconsistent. Maybe you notice bloating sometimes after meals, or sometimes you get tired, or sometimes you feel you have just like very irregular bowel movements. Maybe you're constipated and you don't understand, and then sometimes you swing into loose stools, right? Your gut is still in energy conservation mode as well. And the microbial population in your gut is likely slower to fire. When they're low in diversity, and you're in that protection phase, you've lost some functionality because, the body's in that conservation state, right? And a lot of times your liver and enzymes are also cautious. Signaling from your gut to your brain is still stabilizing. So there's a lot going on in the gut when the body's in this protective cell danger phase 2 response, right? The low diversity, which I see all the time, or a decrease in key species that even support energy production, is your gut holding back on full activity. Your body's just not ready to go full force yet. And then there's nervous system cues, right? You like, oh, I feel functional, but I'm not quite free. Like you can handle daily life, but your body's still really cautious. That's just that blend of sympathetic and dorsal states, alert enough to engage, protective enough to pause. You have maybe some anxiety, maybe some fatigue, or moments of disconnection. And these are all just normal signals of the body really trying to learn safety again. It's just a learning phase. It's not a moral failure. So you might notice these small, unpredictable blips in your body during this phase. I called it microflares a bunch of times, so let's go into that. Because these are subtle signals that your system is testing safety as it rebuilds. Like I said, there's a lot of them that happen in the gut, like in your digestion, right? Mild bloating or gas after meals, or intermittent loose stools, or constipation that changes, temporary nausea or queasiness, or food sensitivities that come and go, or reflux or mild heartburn, or different like immune sinus respiratory type of stuff like sinus pressure or congestion, seasonal allergy like symptoms. You could suddenly get a mild cough or some throat irritation, or temperature fluctuations, maybe even slight fever, occasional swollen lymph nodes. You may have a level of energy that varies from day to day, and deeper fatigue day to day, right? Or brain fog or slowed cognition. That one's hard. People feel like it's hard to even verbalize that's going on, right? Lightheadedness or dizziness after standing, all kinds of sleep disturbances. Woof. Waking up at night, all kinds of weird times. Sensory overwhelm, right? Like light, sound, or touch just feel a lot stronger or too intense. Then you have like the emotional stress responses, right? Like heightened irritability or impatience, mild anxiety spikes without a clear trigger or knowing why, feeling emotionally off, like just out of nowhere for a few hours, restlessness, difficulty settling down. And then there's all the musculoskeletal pain stuff, right? Like muscle tension in your neck, your shoulders, your low back, right? Achiness in your joints, even after just like minimal activity. It's like, what the heck? Headaches, mild migraines, subtle tremors, shakiness. And of course, the skin can have like your skin or the surface of your body. You can have temporary rashes, redness, itchiness, flushing or mild heat sensations, dryness or transient breakouts. And these, are all microflares that can happen in phase 2. The people might actually try to treat as separate issues and different, but really it's all because of a phase of the nervous system that you're in, that slower phase, right? Um, and so they can come and go. They rarely escalate to crisis anymore. And a lot of times they're often triggered by small inputs, right? Like maybe you ate fast food one day, or maybe you ate something different, or one little thing that just you notice, oh man, that set me off. Like someone recently told me, it's like, oh, I ate tomatoes. I didn't think that I would have such a reaction to something like that. Um, the level of stress that's going on in your life, right? We live lives, guys. We we have stuff we have to do, like we have busy seasons, we have sudden things come up, right? And we have to do them. And then suddenly we might notice these micro flares afterwards and be like, "Oh no, I thought I was taking care of myself," right? Different types of movement. The body might be like, "Hey, we actually couldn't really do that very well. You kind of overtaxed me." Or even environmental changes. I mean, this stuff's happening all the time, right? And your body's always testing the waters, and these are not regressions. They aren't setbacks. And they're just not signs you are screwing up royally or something like that. They're just your body quietly checking in with you. It's always recalibrating and learning that it can handle life without going into full alarm mode. So every micro flare is a tiny pulse of feedback telling you, I'm learning here. I'm learning safety. I'm testing capacity. I'm doing the best I can with the resources that I have in the phase that I have. So if you can pay attention to these things without panic, that's the signal you need. You don't need to fix it in the moment. Just witness what's going on. Pace yourself alongside your body. Sometimes these things just sort themselves out. Sometimes you do need a little relief care. Okay. So people ping pong between these phases. All right. So we have multiple phases of where the cell can be in danger. Okay. Cell danger 1 is that acute. We're talking about cell danger 2 when it's out of acute. Okay. And then there's 2 more. And a lot of times people ping pong. They're in this phase of, slowed down, rebuild, but sometimes they pivot backwards. Sometimes they move ahead a little bit. You don't typically stay in one state. You move between states. And sometimes this happens even within the hour or the day. Sometimes it can be longer, maybe weekly or even monthly. And that doesn't mean you regress each time you pivot. It means your system is still learning safety and capacity, safety and capacity. It's still trying to rebuild charge. And I will say, you do have to cooperate here and do what you can to keep increasing your gains to crowd out the inevitable drains. And rebuilding charge is a practice, okay? We talked about that in a past episode as well. All right. So I want to explain this a little bit. Like you're doing these two things. You're doing the repairing and the protecting. It's like trying to clean your house while also keeping an eye on the front door in case someone breaks in or something. Like in case somebody comes in and intrudes. I don't know. You can do both, but you can't do them fully or consistently. So your system shifts back and forth depending on the moment, the stress load, the input, your energy stores. This is the ping pong, okay? It's not pathology, you guys. It's not you're going backwards. Unless you really are going backwards. Like, maybe you're taking really bad care of yourself. I mean, I'll be honest, like, you could put yourself in a hole by putting yourself in a hole, okay? But I'm talking to people here who are genuinely, doing the best they can in their day-to-day life, right? Like, they're eating healthy food, they're moving their bodies, they're getting meat, right? Like, you guys are tracking with me here. It's really not pathology in this case. It's just your physiology doing exactly what it's designed to do. Okay, so you might notice, you know, this in things like one day of great energy followed by fatigue. Digestion feels great for a while and then suddenly, bam, massive bloating returns. You have calm mornings for a while, but you have anxious afternoons. You have a good week and then you have one stressful event and then bam, you're hit with a flare. You're sleeping well, you're doing great, then suddenly one day out of nowhere, you're wide awake at 3 a.m. for a week and you're like, "Oh man, what's going on?" A supplement starts helping for a while and then the next week it feels too activating. And people interpret these shifts as inconsistency or instability, but they're just signs of responsiveness. Your system's responding to life, to inputs, to your load, to your capacity in real time. And this is where the nervous system map overlays with the biological map, right? We go from that cell danger response, phase 1, acute danger, to cell danger, phase 2, conservation and repair. So you have moments of sympathetic activation, doing, pushing, handling. Then you have moments of dorsal conservation. Conservation. You're conserving, resting, withdrawing, protecting. And the body moves between these because it's constantly assessing one thing. Do I have enough energy and safety for the next step? When the answer is yes, you feel better. When the answer is no, you slow down, conserve, or flare. This isn't random. It has a rhythm. And when you understand it, you begin to see the truth. And you can also cooperate with your body because it's not unpredictable, it's intelligent. I feel like the ping pong only feels like alarming when you don't know that's the phase you're in. And once you do, you can see these fluctuations as feedback, not threats. Right? I have people say all the time in this phase, they say things like, "Oh, I was doing so well. I thought I was healing. And then bam, now I don't know what's going on." Or maybe they're like, "Oh my God, why can't I stay consistent?" And they blame it on themselves. Or they're like, "Every time I improve, something else pops back up." Here's the thing. It's because the system can make progress. It just can't hold it yet. This isn't you failing. It's your body still stabilizing its capacity to move forward without triggering the alarms it learned to rely on. And this is why support matters so much here. Not so you push harder, not to add in intense protocols to fix every frickin' root cause under the sun, not to even fix the ping pong phase. You guys catch me, right? But to help you understand it, to help you see the pattern, to help you understand the compensations had you adapt and now your body's still adapting, right? And this helps you stop fighting your own biology and start walking with it. So why the heck is this the longest phase? Nobody likes this part. But I want to talk about it because I do think it brings relief once you finally understand it, okay? This slow rebuild phase being the longest phase, it's your body isn't behind. It's rebuilding the only way it can, not because you're trying hard enough, not because you're missing the right protocol, right? It's the longest phase because this is where the real reconstruction happens. And if you try to rush through this, you're going to miss so much of the most beautiful stuff that needs to come through during this phase. The crisis phase is actually fast. The collapse phase is actually fast. The something is really wrong phase is loud and obvious. But this in between, this conservation and repair state, where the body does the deep, quiet, foundational work that takes time because it's rebuilding mitochondria, recalibrating stress chemistry, stabilizing minerals, reorganizing your gut ecology, repairing tissue, rewiring the vagus, restoring metabolic charge, and repatterning your survival responses. It's not quick work. It's not linear. When you're no longer in acute danger, your body doesn't suddenly bounce back just because the threat passed. Your system needs to unlearn the threat. And by the way, there's probably many threats in our lives that we've been through. It needs to rebuild its capacity. It needs to prove to itself slowly that it can handle more life again. And this takes repetition. It takes safety cues, nourishment, time, nature, sun, quality water, all the things, right? And here's something I want you to hear. Please hear this. Your system will not rush this just because you want to. I know. Nobody likes this, but it's because we're fighting against it. Okay? And it's again, this is your biology protecting you. End of the day. All day, every day. Your biology protecting you. And this phase is slow because of all those things I just said. Your body's doing deep inner work. And you cannot push your system or force it to trust again. Trust is earned slowly. And this is also the phase where most people get confused because the visible danger signs are gone, right? Whether it's you got out of the mold, right? You got out of the bad relationship. You quit the massively stressful job. Your child stopped having severe panic. I don't know. Like the list could go on, right? You had panic. You had severe crashes, severe flares, right? Like whatever it was. If you're out of that, it creates a sense of relief. But relief doesn't mean you've arrived. It just means your system finally has space to start the repair work. And that's why people often say, I feel so much better, but also not better. Or like, I'm not in crisis anymore, so why do I still feel so fragile? Because being functional, again, is not the same as being fully restored. You see, functioning is survival. Capacity is health. It's thriving. Okay? So this phase is about rebuilding your capacity. And capacity is built in layers, cycles, spirals, seasons. Not overnight, not in a straight line, not through intensity, but through small, consistent, nervous system safe shifts repeated over time until your body has the charge and confidence to expand again. And once you see that, you stop pushing for speed. You stop demanding your body. Hey, get it together, body. You stop telling yourself you're stuck or failing, and you recognize the truth. You're in the longest phase because this is the phase where the healing actually happens. And you know what? You're still here. You're still trying. You're still learning your system, and you're still showing up for yourself. The people that come to me, they've been at this for a while. And I applaud you for not giving up on yourselves. That's not stagnation. That's courage to keep going. So I want to talk about what stability and safety actually mean in the body, because people hear people talking about this all the time. Like, I have no idea what you mean. right? It's not vague. It's not some emotional idea of comfort. It means literal physiological safety, like the kind your body can measure. It's chemistry, it's electricity, it's minerals, signaling, repair. Safety is whether your cells believe they can keep you alive without going into conservation mode. Stability is whether your internal terrain can withstand the normal stressors of life without collapsing into overwhelm, shutdown, or inflammation. And most people think safety is a mindset. It is not. Your mindset follows your physiology. A nervous system that doesn't have enough minerals, enough energy production, or enough microbial support cannot generate the experience of safety, no matter how many affirmations or breathwork sessions or nervous system tools someone throws at it. When the body is unstable, safety cannot look like you, how do I say this? You can't relax without crashing, right? If your body's unstable. You can't push without burning out. You can't digest without bloating. You can't sleep deeply without waking at night. You can't detox without symptoms. You can't calm down without dissociating. You can't think clearly without spiraling into what ifs. Okay, that's your physiology waving a white flag. That is not your mindset. That's your physiology. So, true safety, the kind that your cells actually trust, looks different. It's quieter, it's slower, it's steadier, right? It looks more like your digestion working without you needing to micromanage your food. Your energy actually staying pretty consistent throughout the day. Your sleep becoming restorative instead of broken. Your stress response softening instead of hardening. Your hormones actually syncing with your life instead of fighting it. Your immune system responding appropriately instead of overreacting. And your mind quieting because the body finally feels resourced. So, safety in the body is capacity. It's the ability to experience life without tipping into that threat mode. And stability in the body is margin. It's the energetic space between what life demands and what your system can provide without going into survival mode. And this is why the minerals and the microbes matter so much, because they're the literal architecture of resilience, right? Even the scaffolding that your nervous system hangs its entire sense of safety on. And this is why that phase 2, even into phase 3, takes as long as it does, because rebuilding stability and safety is not a mindset shift. It's a metabolic one. And when your body finally has the minerals, microbial diversity, mitochondrial energy, and nervous system signaling to register, I am safe enough, everything changes. All the sensitivity decreases, the reactivity decreases, emotional overwhelm subsides, your tolerance for life expands, and healing just becomes possible in a way it wasn't before. And this is a moment when the entire system says, I can handle life now, and you can exhale. So why do people get stuck here? Well, if there's any phase that frustrates us all the most, it's this one. It's the slow, unglamorous rebuilding phase where nothing big seems to be happening on the surface. It feels like a plateau even sometimes, but everything foundational is happening underneath, right? Um People get stuck here for a few core reasons, and none of them are because they're not trying hard enough. In fact, most people that come to me have tried so freaking hard, tried all the things to the point where they're like, "Oh my God, I don't even know if any of it's helping. Ooh, tell me, like I'm willing, but holy crap, what the heck?" Right? So these reasons are biological, they're emotional, they're systemic. So, uh, you know, a lot of people think symptoms equal progress and calm. Nothing's happening, right? Because we live in a culture that celebrates intensity. We live in hustle culture. So if you're not detoxing dramatically, if you're not clearing pathogens aggressively or doing something heroic with your protocol, it feels like you're freaking failing. And when the body shifts into stability building mode, which is quieter, more subtle, more restorative, people mistake it for stagnation. And then they're tempted to jump to the next cleanse, or do I have a parasite? Or do I need these extra supplements everyone's talking about? Or maybe I need a different practitioner, or maybe I need a new theory, right? And they interrupt the very process their body desperately needed. And because this phase requires patience and modern nervous systems are wired for urgency, most people in chronic health patterns have spent years in threat physiology. They don't know how to live without the pressure of needing to fix something. So when things finally slow down, stillness feels unsafe, waiting feels wrong, and rest feels like failure. But rebuilding only happens in slowness, and that slowness, that is confronting. Because our body is working on issues they can't feel yet, foundational work is not immediately gratifying. Rebalancing minerals, takes a while. Sorry. Repairing mitochondria, sorry. You can't just take the magic liquid of the hour everyone's pimping out on social media. Receding microbial diversity. Yeah, no, it's not just taking a probiotic or eating, one or two fermented foods. Sorry. Softening the chronic sympathetic charge. Whew. Girl, I don't even know. I don't even know how long you were in it. Do you? It takes time. Rewiring digestion. All these things have to happen before you truly shift, like dramatically. And this is the part people don't realize. Your body rewires long before you even truly feel different. And just because you can't feel it doesn't mean it's not happening. Ugh, people don't like this one at all. I don't even like it half the time. But now that I see it and I've watched myself over the years, I know to trust. And this is the work that allows all the later phases to move much faster. Now, because people haven't yet learned to trust their body's timeline, most people don't have lived experience of their body healing when given the time, nourishment, and safety. What they do have is decades of rushing, overriding, pushing, and forcing. So when their body asks for slow, gentle, consistent input, it feels freaking foreign. They don't trust that doing less could be the thing that catalyzes long-term healing. Okay, this one's big. Because this phase brings up grief, real grief, you guys. Because when the body finally stops running all the old stored survival material, it begins to rise. Grief, fear, exhaustion, anger, long ignored needs. People get stuck here because they think something is going wrong, when in reality, something is finally going right. Their body is thawing. It's seeing these things that were so suppressed under all the noise of the chronic fight or flight that you can't fucking even tell is there because you're on the go and on alert all the time and inflamed. But when you're in this pattern, it can start to show itself. And because the world pressures people to get better faster, whether it's your friends, your providers, practitioners, family, the internet, everyone wants immediate visible improvement. But deep healing doesn't follow external expectations. It follows biology, which is slower and wiser than human impatience. And a lot of people feel afraid if they slow down, everything will fall apart. This is the most honest reason. And many people have lived entire lives being the one who holds everything together. I'm a single mom, you guys. I have 4 kids. I get this. People have kids, they have careers, they have crises, they have emotional labor, households, stories, long, epic, woven lifetime of stories, right? Stability maybe has never been modeled. Safety has never been resourced. So when you're asked to build it inside yourselves, it feels like stepping off a cliff. And this is another reason why people feel or maybe get stuck. They think they're stuck. It's not because you're resistant. It's not because you're uncommitted. It's because you're human. And rebuilding safety after years of survival is the bravest, slowest, most disorienting part of the entire journey. So before I wrap up, and thank you for staying with me. I know this was a long one. It's been a minute, so I needed to come bring you some depth here. I do want to bring this conversation into real life, into the lives of the people I sit with every day, and my own life too. I sit with clients who are in the middle of deep grief, right? They might be holding the loss of a loved one, watching another loved one decline. They're still trying to figure out why their digestion isn't improving. I sit with single moms, juggling kids, jobs, courts, co-parenting with someone who dysregulates their entire system, wondering why they can't just heal already. I sit with high-functioning men and women who have businesses, who've carried entire households, entire histories, entire emotional landscapes on their backs, some since childhood, now wondering why their body wants more rest than action. And every time, the truth is the same. Your slowness is not stuckness, it's strategic. Your body's just matching your reality. Its pacing is wisdom. The fatigue is protection. Your capacity is in active negotiation with a life that has been heavy, demanding, or unpredictable for far too long. And this is why the slow rebuild phase looks the way that it does, because healing can only move at the speed of safety, and safety can only expand as fast as your real life allows. Okay? So I want to say this part because I think we don't get this enough, especially inside our own critical minds, right? It's not a character flaw to need slowness. It's not a lack of willpower to need pacing. It's not laziness to not be back to normal yet. It is your body honoring the truth of your lived experience. So when slowness begins to shift and then gradually, subtly something changes, it's not like a big moment. It's not like a dramatic breakthrough or a magical protocol. It's something quieter. You wake up one morning and your digestion just works. You walk outside and you feel your breath deepen and maybe like you want to run again. You handle a stressful conversation that you couldn't have handled previously and you don't collapse afterward. You notice your energy lasts 2 hours longer than it used to. You realize you haven't had flare in a few days and you didn't even try. This is what happens when safety accumulates, when minerals rebuild, when the gut repopulates, when the vagus finds rhythm, when the body trusts its own signals again. Capacity does not return in a single moment. It returns in dozens of tiny moments your nervous system stitches together into a new pattern. And suddenly the slow rebuild isn't just survival, it's momentum. So when your system finally reaches that threshold, when the alarm's quiet, when the scaffolding is rebuilt, your body starts to believe you can handle more life. And the shift is unmistakable, right? Your energy stops crashing. You don't fear your own output anymore. Digestion becomes intuitive. You can eat without micromanaging. Microflares disappear. Your gut and immune system stop overreacting. Your mind quiets. The constant scanning for danger fades. I remember when this happened to me. It was profound. Your sleep deepens. Nights become restoration instead of rewiring. You feel anchored, present in your body instead of bracing against it. Your tolerance expands. Stressors that once destabilized you now feel manageable, and your future feels possible again. Not overwhelming, possible. This is the moment when the slow rebuild phase transitions into actual growth, when your system has the foundation to build resilience, strength, capacity, and vitality. And this is where people finally feel like themselves again. Not the crisis version, not the shutdown version, not the hypervigilant version, but the truest version. Your cells can feel it, your breath feels it, your digestion feels it, your relationships feel it, your creativity feels it, your entire life feels it. And this is what you've been working toward. Why I came back. And this is all of it. It's why I went quiet. Not because something was wrong, but because something was rearranging. And I was in a version of rebuilding myself, and I refused to rush it. And on the other side of that quiet season, this is mostly around how I operate in my work and such. I'm not here to come back with urgency. I'm coming back with a ton of clarity about who I'm here for, what phase they're actually in, what helps, what harms, clarity about the pace that builds real capacity, clarity about the work that matters most. So if you are in this phase right now, functional but fragile, better but not fully restored, relieved but still cautious, I want you to know your pace makes sense for the load you've carried. This phase isn't a setback. It's your nervous system recalibrating toward safety. Your body isn't resistant. It's protecting the capacity it has while slowly rebuilding more. And it's working, even on the days it feels slow. So if this episode resonated with you and you want to understand your body through the lens of minerals and microbes and nervous system repair, this is exactly the work we do together inside my Minerals and Microbes program. And you can learn more about it. It's on my website. The link is below for you. And just step inside whenever your system feels ready. Until then, I encourage you all to honor your pace, protect your capacity, and let your healing be slow enough to last. Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time.